This is Fitness Blender's 100 repetition home workout. For this total body home workout routine, you'll only need an exercise mat and a set of dumbbells. We'll be going through 10 exercises, 4 rounds, for a total of 100 repetitions per exercise. To get the highest metabolism boost and the best toning effect out of this routine, we suggest you do the 2 rounds on this video first thing in the morning and then again later on in the day. Let's go ahead and get started with round 1. Our first exercise is the push-up. You can do this either off of your knees or off of your toes, and feel free to swap this out with either a close push-up or a wide push-up if you like. Get ready, and begin. Remember, with all push-ups, you want to make sure those hips stay nice and low. You're keeping a nice straight line from your shoulder all the way down to your knee or all the way down to your toe, whichever version you're doing. Keep that pace nice and even. Try to get as low to the ground as you can each time. And make sure you don't lock those elbows out at the top. You want those muscles to be engaged all the time. Just have a few more repetitions to go through. Remember, if you start getting too tired, you can always drop to an easier version or pause for a few seconds before you finish off those repetitions. But remember, we're trying to go for 25 total repetitions, so push for that. We're almost done. That's your last repetition right there. And on to the reverse fly. Go ahead and stand up for this one. Grab a pair of dumbbells. Get ready. And begin. You want that back perfectly flat, those knees slightly bent, elbows barely bent. You're going to bring those arms up and out to the side as high as you can. At the top of that range of motion, you want to try to get those hands up above the height of that chest, and you want your hands forward just about even with your ears. Just a nice slow fluid motion. Let them down just as slow as you bring them up, and make sure you don't swing those arms. Just keep that motion under control as best you can. Keep checking that lower back, making sure it's staying flat. And keep working on pushing that range of motion, trying to get those arms as high as you can. Just have a few more repetitions to go through. And we're almost done. Just have one more repetition right there. Go ahead and let it relax. And next one is a squat with a side leg raise. Go ahead and drop those dumbbells off to the side and get ready. And begin. Nice deep squat in the middle. Try to keep that weight back in those heels. Make sure those knees stay back behind those toes. And then raise that leg out to the side as high as you can, alternating each time. This one is going to be 25 repetitions total, so you're actually going to do an odd number on one leg. Just make sure you start with a different leg each time. So if you start with your left leg on the first round, then you're going to want to start with your right leg on the second round, and then alternate again for your third and your fourth. Just make sure you always alternate so you're not doing more repetitions on one leg than you are on another. Just make sure as you're doing this motion, keep it under control, nice and slow. As you lift that leg up and out to the side, you want to make sure that torso stays straight up and down. You don't want to lean over. Try to make that outside thigh do as much of the work as possible. Just got a few more repetitions to go through. And one more on the other side. And let it relax. All right, grab those dumbbells again. We're doing an overhead press. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Bring those dumbbells up to your shoulders. You're going to press them straight up over top of your shoulder. You want to end with your wrist right above your shoulder joint. And as you drop those hands back down, you want to drop them as low as you can without letting your forearms tip out to the sides. So as you come down, that wrist should be right above that elbow and never come outside of that. Just try to get that motion as wide as you can, as much as is comfortable. And then watch that lower back. You want to make sure that you're not arching your chest. You want to keep your spine nice and neutral. If you need to, you're going to rock your hips forward a little bit so you're actually kind of pulling your lower part of your hip forward. Just keep that motion going nice and slow under control. Never lock your elbow out at the top. You want to keep it just a little bit soft. And just keep that motion going under control. Keep in mind you're doing 25 repetitions of this, so you don't need a really heavy weight. Even an arm weight or just a couple pounds will feel like a lot after 25 repetitions. Just have a few more through. We're almost done. Here's your last repetition right here. And let it relax. All right, back down onto the mat. We've got our Crisscross Crunch next. Get ready. And begin. You want to cross over as far as you can each time. You want to get as much rotation out of your torso as possible and trying to roll those shoulders as much as you can each time. You can either do the easier version, which we're doing here, or if you want to make it a little bit harder, don't bring your knee in past your hip joint. Makes it much, much more difficult. Otherwise, just keep those legs going back and forth, alternating left elbow, right elbow, left knee. Just keep your lungs nice and open on this one. Breathing is just going to be exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale as you cross back over. Main thing that's important though is just to keep your lungs open. Don't hold your breath at any point during this. You should either be inhaling or exhaling at any point during this exercise. Just got a few more repetitions to go through. Almost done. And there's your last one right there. Go ahead and let it relax. Roll over onto your stomach. We've got the Pilates back bows coming up next. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Arms and legs out fully extended. Arch that back up as high as you can. Lift those legs as high as you can. You want to get both those feet and those hands up off the ground as much as possible. Really arch that back. Those arms should be extended out nice and straight from those shoulders right up next to those ears as best you can. Those arms are going to get a little bit tired after a while from holding them up there. Those legs should be perfectly straight. Press that knee out as straight as you can. You want those feet just a little bit wider than hip width apart, so about shoulder width apart or so. Get them nice and high. The harder version of this is as you come back down, you keep those hands and feet hovering, just like we're doing in the video. Otherwise, if you want the easier version, go ahead and let those hands and feet touch the ground and pause momentarily before you bring them back up as high as you can. Remember, you don't want to hold your breath. So inhale as you drop, exhale as you come back up. Inhale, exhale. Just make sure you're keeping those lungs open. We're almost done. And that's your last repetition right there. Go ahead and let it relax. Stand back up. And we've got alternating lunges. And get ready. And begin. All right, as you step out, you want to make sure that knee doesn't come over that toe. You want it as close to over top of that ankle or the top of that arch of that foot as you can. Make sure that every time you step out with a different foot, alternating each leg. If you want to make it a little bit harder, you just take a longer step, trying to step out as far as you can. That long step will also help you keep that form a little bit better by forcing you to keep that knee back behind your toe. Just keep that motion going nice and slow under control. You want that torso straight up and down. You don't want to be leaning forward or leaning back. Trying to let that momentum carry you forward over that front leg. You want to try to keep your weight perfectly even between those 2 feet. Come straight down between the two of them. We're almost done. And here's your last one right here. And let it relax. All right, back down onto the mat. We're doing the Pilates side hip raise for the next one. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. So this is the easier version of it. You're going to be on your elbow and on your knee. Let that hip drop down towards the mat as far as it'll go without touching, and then press it right back up as high as you can. At the same time, you want to press that shoulder down underneath you, really forcing those obliques to do majority of the work here. Is our last repetition on this side. Go ahead and switch sides. Doing the same exact motion. And get ready. And begin. press that hip up as high as you can each time, really trying to push that range of motion, really press that shoulder underneath you to get those obliques to work. Remember, if this isn't hard enough for you after all these repetitions, then you can always switch to the harder version, which is actually pushing both your feet out straight or coming up onto your hand rather than on your elbow. And there's your last one. And let it relax. All right, next one is a cross between a Pilates shoulder bridge and a skull crusher. So we're going to be doing two different motions at the same time. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Out on your back, you're going to press those hips up straight towards the ceiling, pushing into those heels. At the same time, you're going to do that skull crusher motion, which is holding a dumbbell in your hand, letting that elbow bend so that those dumbbells drop back by your ears, and then pressing it straight back up over top of your elbow, over top of that shoulder, and right back down. Just make sure that as you lift those arms, they don't come past that elbow or past that shoulder over onto your chest. You want to stop right above that shoulder or a little bit on the inside, a little bit more over your head. Just keep this motion going at a steady pace and nice and controlled. Really squeeze those hips up each time. Really get those thighs and those butt muscles. Really press them up. Exhale up. Inhale down. Just keep that motion going. Just got a few more to go. And we're almost done. This is your last one right here. Press it up and let it relax. All right, you're going to roll over for the next one, doing mountain climbers off of your hands and your toes. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. So start in a push-up position. One leg's going to come forward as far as you can, then press right back out. Swap those feet as you're doing it. The harder version of this is what we're showing right here. You don't let those toes actually touch the ground. You're going to keep them hovering off the ground each time. Otherwise, you can let that toe just barely touch before you bring it back again. And we're done. 25 goes by fast. All right, and that is the end of round number 1. We're starting up on round number 2. If you want a little bit more rest, you can always pause it right here. Otherwise, get ready for those push-ups. Doing those traditional push-ups again to start out with. Remember, you can either do these off of your knees, your toes. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. If you can do these off your toes, then I suggest starting there. Do as many as you can from that full push-up position until those arms are dead. Then you can always switch off to that half push-up position off of those knees. You always want to try to push yourself, trying to get as many of those full push-ups in as you can each time. Go ahead and watch that form. You want to make sure that back is nice and straight. A straight line from that shoulder down to that knee or down to those toes. Make sure those hips are staying even. You don't want to kick them up too high or let them droop. Really focus on that form, trying to bang out as many perfect as you can. We're almost done. That's your last one. And let it relax. All right, stand up, grab those dumbbells. We've got the reverse flies again. Get ready. And begin. Remember bringing those arms up and out to the sides as high as you can. Same time, keeping that back perfectly flat, nice and parallel to the ground. Those knees slightly bent, elbows slightly bent. Really working on that range of motion, getting those arms up there. Remember, you want to end with the top of that range of motion with your hand just above the height of your chest, and with those hands forward just slightly so they're about even with your ears. Keep that motion under control, nice and slow, fluid motions. Don't let any momentum sneak in there. You want to actually push that weight up the entire time, no swinging those arms. Just have a few more repetitions through. Just concentrate on that motion, keeping it going. And we're almost done. Just got a few more repetitions. And here's your last one right here. Go ahead and let it relax. Drop those dumbbells. Stand up straight. We've got a squat with side leg raise next. Go ahead and get ready. Make sure you're starting with that opposite leg on this one. And bring that leg up. Squat down nice and low in the middle. Raise that leg out to the side. Remember, keep that motion nice and slow. You don't want any momentum building in on this one either. Nice tight squeeze the top. Let that leg drop down nice and slow. Don't just let it fall. Nice deep squat. Weight back in those heels. Knees back behind those toes. As you raise that leg, make sure that torso is straight up and down. Just keep the motion going nice and slow under control. Really concentrating on that form. Later on, after doing this routine quite a few times, these are probably going to start getting a little bit more easy for you. That outside thigh is not going to be affected as much, so if you need to, you can always either grab a weight like a medicine ball or a dumbbell to hold while you're doing your squat, and if you want to, you can buy a pair of ankle weights to make that leg raise out to the side even harder. Just got a few more through. Almost done. And here's your last repetition right here. And let it relax. All right, grab some dumbbells for the next one. We're doing an overhead press. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Remember, those hands start right above that shoulder height. You're going to press that hand straight up above that shoulder, almost locking your elbow out, and then drop it straight back down. You want to keep that forearm perfectly straight up and down, perpendicular to the ground. So as you drop, you want to go as low as you can without letting that forearm tip out to the sides. Try to get as much range of motion out of this as you can. As you're doing that, you want to concentrate on keeping your back nice and flat. As you lift those hands over your head, you're going to want to kind of arch back a little bit and let that chest lean backwards. You want to make sure that you keep it straight up and down, or possibly even tilted forward just slightly. Also, you want to watch those hips. Don't let those hips kick out back behind you. You actually want to kind of pull them forward a little bit, contract those abs, keep those abs nice and tight the entire time. Watch that breathing. You don't want to hold your breath. If you need to have a breathing count, it's going to be exhale on the way up, inhale on the way back down. Otherwise, just keep those lungs open. Doesn't matter when you breathe, just don't hold your breath. Just got a few more repetitions to go through. Just keep concentrating on that form. And here's your last repetition right here. And let it relax. All right, on to the crisscross crunch. Get ready. And begin. Remember, bring that knee in nice and close, crossing over with that opposite elbow. So right elbow, left knee, left elbow, right knee. Really trying to turn those shoulders as much as you can, crunching forward at the same time. Again, keeping those lungs open, making sure that you don't hold your breath. If you want to, it's exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale. So the main thing is just keeping those lungs open. Remember, if you want to make this exercise more difficult, don't let that knee come in past your hip joint. So you're going to stop it straight on top of that hip joint and then press it back out. Makes those abs have to work twice as hard. Just keep that motion going nice and slow, under control. Don't let those legs touch the ground. We're almost done, just a few more repetitions through. And here's your last one right here over the other side, and let it relax. All right, moving on to the Pilates back bows next. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Arms out straight, biceps by your ears. Try to keep that hand straight in line with that shoulder. Feet straight back behind those hips. You want them just a little bit wider than hip width apart. Knees nice and straight. Lifting your arms and legs as high as possible each time. Really arching that back up. Squeezing through those glutes and those hamstrings. Get as much range of motion out of as you can. Drop back down to the ground and hover for the harder version. For the easier version, go ahead and let those hands and feet touch the ground each time. For that breathing, you're going to inhale as you drop down, exhale as you come back up. Again, don't hold your breath. You always want to have those lungs open. It comes in handy to have a nice thick exercise mat for this exercise. Yoga mats just don't quite cut it. They're way too thin. Just have a few more repetitions to go through. Just concentrate on that form. Really try to press those arms back out there. We're almost done. And just one more. And let it relax. All right, stand back up. We've got alternating lunges coming up next. Get ready. And begin. Remember stepping out with each foot, alternating each time. You want to make sure as you step out, that knee doesn't come over that toe. You want it either over that arch of that foot or over that ankle. If you want to make it harder, step out wider. You want to really take a nice, long, deep step. If you want to make it more difficult, make sure those hips are coming straight down in between those feet. Make sure your momentum as you step forward doesn't carry you over that front foot. You want to keep it as even as possible between those feet. Torso nice and straight up and down. Breathing normally, make sure you're not holding your breath. Get a little extra calorie burn out of it, a little more tone by sucking those abdominal muscles in nice and tight. Just have a few more through. And here's your last one right here. And let it relax. All right, back down onto the mat. We've got the Pilates side hip raise coming up next. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. You're out on that elbow and knee, pressing that hip up to the side as high as you can, letting it drop back down, keeping a little bit of a hover, and then right back up. Really shove that shoulder down underneath as much as you can to really make those obliques have to work. Abdominal muscles should be perfectly tight. So should that lower back. Almost done. And there's your last repetition right there. Go ahead and switch sides. We're going to be doing the same thing on the other side. And get ready. And begin. Remember to keep your weight in that elbow and that knee. Nice and slow, pressing that hip up as high as you possibly can. Dropping that shoulder down underneath you to really make those obliques have to work. Get that motion going as high as you can. Remember, if you want to make it harder, you can always push those legs out straight. And here's your last repetition right here. And go ahead and let it relax as you move on to the Pilates shoulder bridge with a skull crusher combination. Grab those dumbbells, go ahead and get ready. And begin pressing into those heels, shoving those hips up as high as you possibly can, really squeezing those glutes and those hamstrings. Also concentrating on that skull crusher motion, dropping those hands back by those ears and then press them straight up over top of those shoulders. Just remember the form on this one. Don't let that elbow move. You want it right above that shoulder joint. And all that motion's just coming from that elbow. Also concentrate on getting a nice tight squeeze to those glutes, pressing those hips up as tight as you can, as high as you can each time. Concentrate on keeping those abdominal muscles nice and tight and making sure those lungs stay open. You want that breathing in there. It's exhale up, inhale down, exhale up, inhale down. Just make sure you don't hold that breath. It's the most important thing. Keep concentrating on that form. We just have a few more repetitions to go through. Really squeeze it nice and tight. Almost done. And here's your last repetition right here. And let it relax. All right, we're on to the mountain climbers. This is your last one of this round. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Keep those feet moving nice and fast. Barely let them touch on the ground before they're right back up again. Bring those knees up as high as you possibly can. For the harder version, like we're doing here, don't let those toes touch the ground. Otherwise, if you want to make it a little bit easier, you're going to let that toe touch the ground up the top just for a second before you bring it back down. And here's your last one. And let it relax. That is it for the 2 rounds on this video. If you want to get that full 100 repetitions right now, just start the video over and begin again. Otherwise, we suggest to get the most calorie burn out of this routine to wait until later in the day to do these 2 rounds again. Remember to visit fitnessblender.com for more full-length workout videos and much more. You can also visit fitnessblender.com, scroll to the bottom of any one of our pages, and click on the Contact Us link to tell us about any questions or comments you have on our videos or any suggestions for new videos to do in the future.